Hi! Welcome to my show, Slavic Words, the show where I try to explain Slavic words and the knowledge that might be in them. Today, the word is Slav. Now, when I say the word Slav, many of you might be thinking of several different things, like different images that come to your head. Like if I say, I don't know, guy squatting in some gray, sad building with a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other, that's a Slav. If I say the words, I don't know, bear drinking vodka driving tank, that's a Slav. Or, if you want to get very real, guy in Adidas tracksuit trying to convince you that he knows stuff. Too real, maybe? Slavs are the most populous group in Europe. This is an ethno-linguistic group where we all speak different languages, but the languages are very similar. Which is why I, with two languages, feel like I can tackle all of them. Except for Polish. Polish, oof, I will never understand Polish, but I love to pretend I do. So Slavs have two versions of the word Slav for themselves. So different Slavic languages refer to themselves differently, but in a related way. The first category, the one that most Slavic languages use, is the word Sloveni. This is where you get countries like Slovenia or Slovakia. And the root word of Sloveni is slovo, meaning word. So Slavs are the people of the words. So my channel name, Slavic Words, really means the words of the people who define themselves by their words, which is why it's such an important topic to me. And the reason why we define ourselves by our words might have a little bit to do with the fact that we don't live in a vacuum, right? We had a traditional tribal enemy, the Germans, who we call Niemcy. And this means the mute people, the people who don't talk. So we are the people who use words to talk to each other, and those people, the Germans, are the people we don't talk to at all. But you know, there's a joke. I heard a Ukrainian joke where a Ukrainian man gets stuck on a desert island and he gets rescued, and this rescue team starts, going through the island and being like, wow, you built so many structures, like look at that and look at this, you have a gym, you have a basketball court, you have a house, you have a second house. But why do you have two churches? And what the Slavic guy says, oh, I'm a Slav, I have a church that I go to and a church that I don't. Most Slavs use the word Sloveni, but some Slavs, Bulgarians, Belarusians, and Russians, use the word Slaviani. Now, there's some folk etymology that says Slaviani isn't actually based on the word slovo, meaning word. It's based on the word slava, meaning to celebrate or to glorify. However, most academic people who look for the etymology of words, they dismiss this claim all out, and they say Slaviani are actually related to the word Sloveni. But why would a group of people want to glorify themselves? Why is this narrative so popular and so needed? Well, this is where we come to the insidious side of the word Slav. So because of the history of the word Slav, many European languages, including English, use the word Slav as the base of their word for slave. So the English word slave means Slavic people. And this happened because there is an extensive history of Slavic enslavement, from Persians to Vikings to Romans to Ottomans. Lots of people enslaved Slavs, and this kind of peaked in the Holy Roman Empire when many German-speaking people enslaved so many Slavs that the word became ubiquitous with the word slave. And you see, the thing about Venice is it was the biggest slave market in Europe, and most of their slaves were Slavs, and they provided them to European markets. They used our ethnicity to mean a person who is somebody's property. This includes sex trafficking and, of course, forced labor. and the general result is a lack of human dignity. You understand, there is still a persistent racism from Western Europeans against Slavs. They used to think of us as a separate, inferior race, which is why we have the English word Slav as the root for the word slave, and the word slovenly meaning dirty. They saw us as dirty slaves. So there might be an ethno-cultural need to reclaim some of that dignity by talking about our celebrated nature. So how do we reconcile the word Sloveni with Slaviani? I think there's some overlap. I don't see a reason why we have to dismiss the folk story of glorification outright. Because we may be the people who share words, but we're also the people who share celebration. We use our words to celebrate together. To illustrate this point, I want to talk about something that I learned when I was studying an Iroquoian language. So this is the Iroquoian Confederacy in Canada. When I was learning that indigenous language, Oneida, I was taught the Thanksgiving Address. So the Iroquois Confederacy were the people of Thanksgiving. And they had a practice of whenever there was an important meeting with a lot of people, somebody would come up and they would give the Thanksgiving Address. So this was kind of like a poem where you would thank everything around you for producing the situation that you have now. To thank the rivers and the plants and the medicines to allow all these people who have gathered here to gather here and to do the things that we're doing. It was a beautiful thing. And I related to it immediately because I was familiar with the Slavic practice of something called a zdravica. So this means, the word means a little health. And this was very similar. It was a poem that would be said when people gather, typically for a meal, but really for any sort of gathering, because if you're gathering and there's no meal, what's the point? And the idea was you're celebrating the natural world around you. It's like a prayer for prosperity and just the well-being of all the people around us, to keep in mind all the non-human help that we needed to get to where we were. We don't just use words to talk to each other. We mobilize those words to celebrate the same things. That is, the land around us, the people that we're with, and the knowledge that we benefit from. Thank you for watching my video. Please join me next time as we try to get some more of that Slavic knowledge out of our words. I'm going to leave you with my musical recommendation. It should start playing now.
Yes.
This is a song by Kukuz. I think it's a Croatian group. And what they do is they sing about what it means to be a Slav. And it's mostly about crime. And what this shows to me is that we have a very difficult legacy that we're still overcoming. This legacy of disempowerment and poverty. It shows how much our community needs to heal. And I would argue, potentially, the role of our words in making that healing happen. Thanks for joining me. Take care.